Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me and you can see me. And as always, my name is Raphael. I am an astrologer, tarot reader, numerologist, and energy worker. Those are my core four. Those are the spiritual sciences that I use to bring you these messages over the course of the week. I go live Monday through Friday. At the moment, we're not doing Wednesday because there seems to be a glitch in the matrix. And every time I schedule something to go out on Wednesday, for some reason, it just never seems to go out. So I apologize for that. But with that said, thank you so much for stopping by. If this is your first time, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit the subscribe button. For those of you that are already continued subbies, you know Rafi loves you. So you know how we do. Today is all about Jupiter, right? So it is a Thursday, which is Jupiter's day. And on Jupiter's day, we talk about Jupiter, obviously, but more importantly than that, we're talking about growth, luck, and influence, right? These are all things that Jupiter rules, as well as growth, expansion. Jupiter rules levity. It brings a lightness wherever it goes. And it is an energy of meaning. This is the energy that really helps us discover or find the meaning in something. And I think this is something that's really sort of not overlooked with Jupiter, but it's not something that seems to be mentioned as much. And I think it's something that really we should talk about, right? Because really and truthfully, as human beings, especially in this day and age, in the modern era, it's so easy to get swept up into a series of movements and actions and all the rest of it. And it's almost like we kind of forget that actually there is a meaning behind everything that we do. It's not just random, right? And so wherever Jupiter goes in your chart, it helps you pull out the meaning of that space in your life. But more importantly, it helps you bring a sense of coherence to that space so that you can expand beyond what you know and take your mind, your beliefs, and your wisdom and your personal philosophies on that specific area of your life to a new level, right? So this idea of growth and expansion, it's not just about expanding and consuming and more, which, on the sort of challenging side of things, that can be how Jupiter operates, right? But equally, Jupiter is helpful people, it's coaches, it's gurus, it's people that can help us or assist us in some way, shape, or form. Now, the fact that Jupiter is currently in the sign of Gemini, we've talked about Jupiter in Gemini for a while now because that's where it's been since June of this year, and it's going to be there until June of next year, 2025, when it will move into its sign of exaltation in the sign of Cancer, which I personally am very much looking forward to. For those of you that currently have for those of you that have Gemini in the 12th house, you're currently experiencing Jupiter in the 12th, which is a really nice one. Now, with that said, for those of you that would like to know, whenever I'm talking about astrology, I'm always talking about whole sign, tropical Western astrology, for those of you that would like to know. And, I basically I have a rough idea of where I like to take these sessions, and then I let the universe and the flow and the energy kind of take over from there. Now, that being said, in terms of Jupiter and representing growth and luck and opportunity and influence, when we're talking about growth, it's about expanding your vision. It's about expanding your mind. It's about taking you further beyond what your current sphere of understanding is. And the way that we do that is by really starting to understand what our sense of meaning is in that specific area of life. Now, when we're talking about influence, we're talking about how we have the ability to generate an influence in the world, but we're also talking about how the world and also helpful people that we consider, not bigger than us, but more learned, more wise in some way, shape, or form. So, hello to everybody. I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat. Laurel Berg, my Aquarius sister, lovely to have you. Asleep by Nine, the Taurus Garden, Asleep by Nine. Streamline, Paul Gritzemacher. Hello, lovely to have you, brother. Good to see you all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending time with me. Yeah, so Lorna Crowther, how do I book a one-to-one with you? You can do so in the link in the description box of this video. You can head over to my website, which is www.radiantreality.com. That's where you can find all of the services that I offer. And it would be lovely to work with you one-to-one in some capacity. So thank you for asking. For anybody that would like to know, yes, all of these sessions that I do online are all things and services that you can get from me in terms of numerology, whether it's tarot, well, all of the work that I do includes tarot. So I don't offer just a pure tarot reading anymore because I find that I'm bringing so many of the other things into my work, it doesn't make sense anymore. So I'm incorporating the tarot into all of my work. It's kind of the way that I've been working now for a while. So whether it's astrology, numerology, tarot, energy work, it all includes tarot, right? So that's how you can get to me. Thank you so much, Laurel. I appreciate that. So with that said, back to Jupiter, right? The Lord of growth, expansion, abundance, influence. Because Jupiter rules two signs in the zodiac, yes, we have a modern ruler of Pisces, and the modern ruler of Pisces is Neptune. But truth be told, each of the classical seven planets, so obviously the sun and the moon are luminaries, but each of the classical seven ruled, apart from the sun and the moon, all of the others, so Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn all had a masculine and a feminine guise, right? So when Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces or is in Pisces, it is the feminine guise of the Jupiterian trope. When Jupiter is ruling Sagittarius or in Sagittarius, it is the masculine trope, right? So the fire signs and the air signs are masculine energies, the water signs and the earth signs are feminine energies, okay? So that being said, yes, Christina. Jupiter in Gemini in the second house, looking forward to Jupiter's gifts. So, I'm really glad that you mentioned this because I've had a ton of clients that I've worked with, and they're like, I got Jupiter in the second house and nothing's happening. Like, where's this money that I've been told is going to be? It's not, Jupiter only provides the opportunity, right? Yes, it will give you and it will bless you, absolutely, but it will provide you with the opportunity. It will provide you with ease. It will provide you with growth. It will bring helpful people into your life and into your sphere. You have to actively do something with that energy in order for it to be good for you, in order for it to go. So it's kind of like, when you've got a ring stuck on your finger, yanking at it and all the rest of it, but then as soon as you put some washing liquid or some oil or something on your finger, it slides right off. Think of Jupiter as that medium. It greases the wheels, or it provides a spiritual lubricant for whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, for whatever it is that you're trying to create. So wherever Jupiter is in your chart, it's trying to bring a sense of cohesion so that you can not only find more meaning in that space, but this is where you tend to attract luck, where you attract opportunities, where you attract maybe exude the influence that you need to ask for help, right? So what I would so the way that this really sort of shows up is you've got to do something with it. All right. So yes, Jupiter in the second can absolutely bring money. What a lot of people find is it just increases the money that they make, or their financial experience gets easier. However, if you start a business with that Jupiter in the second, right? That creates, or it provides you with a vehicle for more money to come at you. If you start a side hustle, if you started a YouTube channel, if you said to yourself, right, okay, you know what? This is my job. I'm going to go for that promotion. Jupiter provides the opportunity and the ease for that thing to happen. But it doesn't necessarily just mean, money starts raining from the sky. Another thing that you want to consider is if Jupiter is your second house, that means you are a Taurus ascendant, right? So in your chart specifically, if you are a Taurus rising, that means Jupiter rules your 11th house and it also rules your eighth house, right? So, what this is saying to you is through those spaces in your life, so 11th house, friends, group associations, social media, the eighth house, other people's money, finances, resources, taxes, loans, inheritance. Those are the spaces or the places through which money, resources, and finances can find you. So you know that, right? Now that you know that, you use that to your advantage and you lean into that Jupiter placement moving through the second house. Hopefully, that gives you an idea of how you can actually be an active participant in this rather than just kind of sitting back and saying, yep, yeah, excellent, Jupiter in the second, that means money's raining from the sky. It's very rarely that, right? It can bring gifts, absolutely. Especially because it's the ruler of your eighth house. If it's in your second house, it's the ruler of your eighth house, which means that that resource, that money, can come to you in a what's the word that I'm uh, yeah, like that money could come to you as a gift from a partner or from a partnership of some sort that you have. So Marcy says, I made it to a live finally. Good morning here in the US. Anyway, everyone. Lovely to have you, Marcy. Thank you so much. So yeah, great. Taurus Garden says my chart says Jupiter and Aries in the ninth house. So very nice. Jupiter is in the ninth house. As Jupiter is at home, right? Jupiter has an affinity with the ninth house, so this could be great. It also explains the reason that you're constantly learning something or in some kind of school. The Taurus Garden. Right, makes so much sense. Absolutely. Today, in fact, as we speak, the full moon is in full effect at this moment in time. So now, going back to Jupiter, Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, it's literally on. So Jupiter rules Sagittarius, it also rules Pisces, as I mentioned, right? So what's opposite the sky to Sagittarius is Gemini, which is where Jupiter is. So it's not necessarily comfortable in this space, but it can and it will bring a sense of cohesion. However, Gemini is about sorting things, right? It's about doing this, right? Gemini is an ambidextrous energy. Whereas, truth be told, Sagittarius wants to do this, Pisces wants to do this. It's two fishes, it's the half man, half horse, right? This is a synthesis of two things, whereas the Gemini energy is a partition of things. The only thing really that Jupiter and Gemini have in common is that Jupiter is the ruler of two mutable signs, and Gemini is also a mutable sign. But whereas the two other double-bodied signs that are mutable are about bringing things together or unifying them, Gemini seems to be about setting them apart or making decisions between this and that, right? So Jupiter in Gemini can bring an abundance of choice, an abundance of options. And, I'm going to give you this example, and I always give this example as a Jupiter transit, right? Jupiter's like what I call if Mercury is the retrograde hoe, always doing his retrograde thing, right? Then Jupiter would be the opportunity hoe, right? It's just going to throw them at you one after the other. And so I always liken this like, when you go to the supermarket and you say to yourself, I know what I need. I absolutely don't need a basket. I don't need a trolley. And so you just put everything in your hands. And truth be told, even if you're adept at this, there's only so much you can hold in your hands before eventually what happens, you load it up too much and you drop something. And then when you get, bend down to pick that thing up, you end up dropping everything. That can be the way that people approach Jupiter transits. And so, with a Jupiter transit, I do advise that you get a bit more discerning about what the opportunities are that are on the table right now. Okay, now that being said, why is this important to us? Well, I'm going to share my screen. Let me know in the chat if you can see it. And while you guys are getting to the chart, I'm going to have a swig of my tea. Then you do the walk of the shame to go and get the basket. Who hasn't been there at least 5 times in their life, right? And I wish it was just confined to items in the in the supermarket. I'm sure we've all done many a walk of shame. Jupiter is excess as well, right? So it likes more than one. Jupiter has its own relationship to liking options. Jupiter was Zeus, and if you know anything about Zeus in ancient Greek culture, Zeus was prolific, men and women. He did not discriminate, right? If you were pretty and you were hot and you were desired, Zeus was all up in your business, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so anywhere we see Jupiter, there is a potential for a walk of shame, for sure, for sure, for sure. So there's that, right? So that being said, oh, thank you so much, the Taurus Garden. Hey, love, don't forget to smash the like button. I would appreciate it so very, very much if you would smash that like button. So, as we speak today, you can see Jupiter here at 21 degrees of Gemini. It's conjunct the part of fortune at the moment. So, this is really nice in the way that it's supporting the full moon. This is an opportunity for healing. I talked about this last week, when we went through Moon Day magic, and I also talked about this in various other bits and pieces that I've talked about this week. Because we have the part of fortune in a conjunction to this Jupiter, I do wonder if Zeus had wandering eyes, wandering hands, wandering pelvis. That dude knew how to wonder, if you know what I'm saying. Okay. Jupiter in Aries in the fifth house. Okay. So we're this is the chart for London. So again, if you're just tuning in, we ignore the house placements. We're not doing any of that. We're just looking at where the planets and stuff are at the moment. Unless, Rose, that's your natal placement. Now, that being said, this is the height of the full moon, right? And we've got this, I mean, it's past it to be fair. So if you were looking at this from an electional point of view, this is, you wouldn't really use this because it's already past that sextile to Jupiter. But we're counting it, even if it is a lunar transit. I really like today for some kind of what's the word, for some kind of healing conversation, as it were. Now, we've passed through, technically, we've passed through Venus setting up a yod with both Jupiter and Chiron. For me personally, this felt like it's been, and I've talked about this at length for a while, about the level of healing that could take place if we're willing to open up and have the meaningful, if not challenging conversations, right? Now, that being said, here in the here and now, let's say, what really sort of strikes me is that part of fortune means that if you are alert to the opportunities that are returning to you at the moment, this is about going back to something, right? This is about returning to. Remember, when a planet goes retrograde, not only does its energies go inwards, where we start to get a bit more reflective in that specific area of our chart, within that specific energy that the planet rules, but we also start to redo, to revise, to research, to rectify, to redecide, right? Redecide. Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Gemini, which is the sign of decisions, right? Lots of people would argue that the sign of decisions is Libra. Yes, it is, but truth be told, the true sign of decision where we're in our head about it is Gemini for me, right? Now, this is a sign of communication and conversation. So we might find that old conversational topics are coming up. Interestingly enough, I just decided today, well, not even today, I think it was yesterday, I decided, I was speaking with a much loved friend and mentor. And I said to her, I really want to do this. And she was like, well, why haven't you? And I was like, well, one reason or another, but it feels like the right time to do now. And so I went down an avenue that, for me, in the way that this configures with my chart, is actually a very good way to go. So you want to be looking to this space of Gemini in your chart. What house is this occupying for you in your chart? Now, if you want to get into some more of this dupe juice, hit me in the comments. I want to see your fruits. I want to see those juicy fruits, whatever they are. I want to see the juice. You want this juice? Let's get into it. Let me see these juices in these comments. Oh, that's nice, Laurel. Meeting with the therapist at 10 a.m. Christina, that's a perfect way to use this, right? If you've got that, this is the ruler of your eighth house and it's currently in the second, that means that you value your mental health, that you value your psychic and spiritual health. Okay, nice. I see lots of fruits up in these comments. Okay, I see you. Hello, Kelly McCleaver. Lovely to have you. Okay, so as we move through the week, right, so you can see here Jupiter's still holding the trine to the sun over there in Libra. But as we move through the week ahead from today onwards, you're going to see, right, there's not much that really takes place. It's everything else around it is moving, but not a great is happening with Jupiter himself. All right, so as the sun begins to prepare to leave Libra, so as we get into sort of midpoint of next week, the sun will enter the sign of Scorpio. So we lose the trine to the sun, but we're still holding the sextile to Chiron. And we're going to continue to hold that because although Chiron is retrograde, Jupiter is retrograde. So it's kind of like he's chasing Chiron backward through the sky in some regard. And it's not, I mean, by the time we get to Thursday, look what happens. Jupiter moves back to 20 degrees. So this whole week, it's just hovering around that 21 degrees of Gemini. Does anyone have any planets at 21 of Gemini? Does anyone have any important points like a node or the part of fortune or your midheaven or your IC? Or even your ascendant. Does anyone have anything at 21 degrees of Gemini? If you're here right now, let me know. Give me a little hands up. Let me know what house and planet or point it is that's at around that. And this can be like, I would say 2 to 3 degrees either side. So anything from like 18 degrees of Gemini right through to about 24 of Gemini. So Heidi's got the moon. What degree at, lovely? Jan, hello. Lovely to see you. So, Shanika, Serenity Stellar Healing says yes, Gemini Moon and Libra Sun. My pleasure, lovely. My pleasure to have you. So 17. All right, so still pretty close, and Jupiter will pass over that 17th degree. Christian says Jupiter at 21 of Gemini in the ninth house. Okay, so if for you, Christian, I wouldn't be surprised if you decide to go back to school to pick up some kind of teaching or learning to go around that part. For you, Yellow Jazz, Mercury at 23 degrees of Gemini, so that's a nice Mercury. And that Jupiter on that Mercury will expand your thought process. It may even bring new, or rather, it will bring topics of conversation back up for you at this moment in time that might really help you find the meaning of what you're experiencing at this moment in time. You might find as well, with Jupiter sitting on that Mercury, you might find that you're having conversations, that maybe you've had previously, right? And it's like, okay, I feel like I'm seeing this in a completely different way. I feel like I'm seeing this now through new eyes because you're getting new information, potentially from Jupiterian figures. Right? It could also be, so Heidi says Moon and Gemini in the fourth house. This will expand your home. in some way, shape, or form, who you live with, how you live with them. Moon Jupiter can be an expansion of our feelings, an expansion of our needs. It can be an expansion of the body. Obviously, I'm not a doctor or a medical astrologer, so I don't want to make anything like that. But I will say, watch out for things like emotional eating and or water retention, right? And if you find yourself doing those things, look for the meaning behind it. If we're, I'm talking to myself here too, by the way, right? When you emotionally eat, what is the feeling that's driving that? So, Christian B says, "Oh my God, that's why I'm here. I love learning about astrology through you." Oh gosh, there are people way better qualified for you to learn astrology from. Adam Ellen Bass, Heather from Astrology with Heather. Who else? The guy from Rasa Lili Healing. He's an evolutionary astrologer. He's just absolutely phenomenal. Steve Judd, Frank Clifford, Nadia Shah. These are all people that are way more qualified for you to learn from than little old me. Although I will eventually be bringing a beginner's guide to astrology. So there's that. All right. So Marcy says, I do those things with or without Jupiter. Like you don't need any help with it, right? Jupiter's just the cherry on the cake. So Ayate says drinking papaya juice, sunbathing in Tanzania. Peace. Well, listen, have a sip for me while you're at it. Okay, okay, okay. All right. So, big up from the Caribbean island. Much love and light to all. Beautiful heart, balanced both divine feminine and masculine energies. One love, one heart. Love to hear that. Thank you so much. Heidi says, my body feels sore today, starting my Reiki tomorrow. Yeah, so nourish your body today. Take some time to really look after that physical self. Now, that being said, as I said, by the time we get to Thursday, it only starts to move to 20 degrees. But watch what happens as we start. So I'm going to set this to weeks, right? But watch what happens as we move through the weeks. Jupiter's going to reverse right the way back because it doesn't actually move or turn direct until February 4th. It's literally the day after my birthday, right? So if we take this, that's today's. So as we get to Feb 4th, bam, look, it reaches 11 degrees. So if you've got any planets between 21 and 11 of Gemini, you are going to feel this retrograde that much more. Whatever other placements you have in air signs, Aquarius and Libra, you will also feel this in a much more harmonious or beneficial way. For those of you that have planets at, those same degrees between Pisces, Virgo, and Sagittarius, this is going to be a bit more challenging for you guys. All right. So these are all things to consider when we start to look at how a chart is affected. It's not just that Jupiter exists in a vacuum while it's in the sign of Gemini, right? It's doing so much more than that. So let's take this back to now. All right. So it's going to be a short and sweet one today. I'm going to stop sharing. And I would invite all of you to take a breath. And first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for spending a part of your Thursday with me. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm so very grateful. For those of you that are watching this after the fact, again, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for sharing in this work with me, right? I feel so blessed to be able to do this every single day. I have so much fun. I have so much joy that I gain from this, and also so much insight. You guys sharing, tidbits of your charts and things like that. That's really helpful for me because it's forcing me to think about the symbolism and the synthesis in so many different ways. So thank you so much for sharing because, it's I can assure you this is, yeah, it's just before I get all gushy. Yeah, I'm super, super grateful. So Mercury in Aquarius, 17 degrees in the 11th house. That's wonderful, right? So a trine from Jupiter then is going to really help you in that 11th house because this is bringing back friends, group associations, or even directions that maybe for your future that you thought were closed off for you. The fact that you're going to finally do your Reiki training is a kind of telling, right? It means that that's probably going to be a big part of your future and how you move forward. Okay, so really lovely stuff. Jan says, my Jupiter is at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which is in your eighth house. That's super powerful, right? And the reason being is because the great conjunction that happened in December of 2020, Jan, literally fell on that 0 degree of Aquarius, which means every time something passes the 0 degree of Aquarius, it's activating that point for you. So not only is it activating your Jupiter in the eighth, but it's also activating that great conjunction energy. Now, because you're having this, we are currently having this first Jupiter's Saturn square. Right now, you're probably experiencing the teething pains of whatever was set into motion around that time for you. So, what was happening for you in December of 2020? What was being sort of set into motion that had a really big impact? Because now you'll be seeing the crisis of it kind of coming into being, right? This is like the first few years of a toddler where it gets, they're constantly sick, they've always got a runny nose, they're a bit miserable because they're cutting teeth and all the rest of it. This is kind of like that energy. Okay, so before we start, as always, I would like you to take a moment, take a breath with me, bring your presence and your focus into the now. And before we start, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle. I don't know why I'm picking those up. Wrong deck, Raf. I'm going to give these a shuffle and give me a symbol. Give me a sign. Just tell me when to stop. So Shanika Serenity Solar Healing says, big up Life Path 11. Hello, hello, hello. How are you experiencing that Life Path 11 at this moment in time? Most certainly, most certainly. Yeah, thank you, Rose. Much appreciated. Thank you, Asleep by Nine. Thank you, Taurus Garden. Okay, so the first card is our growth catalyst, right? How do we lean into Jupiter's energies in order to really catalyze our growth this week? We've got the Knight of Wands by basically jumping in. Right? The thing about the Knight of Wands, this is an energy where we're eager to prove ourselves, where we want to jump into it. This is kind of like like when you buy a new piece of IKEA furniture, you got two types of people. You got those who are just like, the manual, they chuck that to one side and they just get stuck in trying to make it happen. And then you've got people that will sit and read the manual. I hate to say that I've kind of gone backwards, right? Like, well, I say that depending on how complex the item is. I used to be the sort of person that would just be like, you know what, stuff it, just get started, you'll figure it out on the way. And if you have to, glance at the manual after. Now, with age comes a little bit of wisdom and plenty of salt and pepper. But this Knight of Wands, the way that we lean into Jupiter's energy to bring growth, even in its retrograde energy, is to dive right in, to really think about what is it that you actually want to grow and expand in your life and being ready to jump in with it. You know what? I'm really feeling this energy today as well. Today I booked myself onto a course that I've been trying to take since 2018. Right. And for one reason or another, I haven't been able to get round to it. And then, like I said, I spoke to a mentor just yesterday, and she kind of gave me the elbow that I needed, and I was like, right, okay, fine. All right, and then I just jumped straight in. And that's what this energy is for us, I think. This Jupiter retrograde energy is saying to you, you know what, there are times where you just have to jump in and trust that your thirst, your knowledge, that your passion at this moment in time is enough. Remember, Jupiter also rules travel. And so if you have to take a journey or to do some kind of travel, whether this is travel in the mind, whether it's travel in the heart, travel in the soul, in the spirit, there are ways to do this. And you know, when I say this, how can you travel in your mind? I'll never forget somebody saying this to me. So years ago, many of you know this, I used to dance. I used to dance as a part of a hip hop crew. It was my thing. Street dance was kind of like one of the things that I was known for. I absolutely loved it, right? Do you think anywhere here in the UK has any adult street classes? Do they bleep? Dry as you like. You go to America, they've got them everywhere, right? Even as an old amateur with a dodgy back and two knees that are slightly questionable at this time, you can find an adult street class. Here, dry as the Sahara, boy. Anyway, this isn't about me. But the story itself, I'll never forget. One day we were rehearsing, and we actually one of the rehearsal spaces that we had was really small, and it was only for a week. But I never forget my one of my colleagues or one of my the crew said, you know what? Even if you can't rehearse fully in the way that you want to in the space, you can rehearse in here, and the inside of your mind is as vast as you allow it to be. And I'll never forget him saying that to me, because after that, I was like, you know what? I can rehearse every minute of every second of every day if I want to, because I'm always here, right? And so, one of the ways that we can travel, one of the ways that we can lean into the growth of Jupiter that provides a need to travel and explore. Why? Why does the Knight of Wands travel and to explore? Because wherever you go in life, different aspects and attributes of you unfold when you travel more, which is one of the reasons I love to travel. Different energies, different ideas occur to you because you're being enriched from different cultures, from different people, from different ideas, different philosophies than your own. So the way that we grow this week is to travel in here, or even to do some kind of spirit travel. This could be anything from meditation right through to astral projection, right? There are so many ways to leave your home, especially in this day and age, right? Look at this. Right now, I'm speaking to some of you who are in Florida, some of you are in Canada, some of you are in France, some of you are around the corner. Like it's incredible. So that Knight of Wands is basically saying to you, jump in, right? Be all in on gaining, new knowledge, new information, even with that retrograde. And because it is a retrograde and the energy of Jupiter is coalescing, it's going inward, traveling by mind, by heart, by spirit, by soul may actually be the best way to do this at this moment in time. So this week, don't be afraid to jump into it. So our second card is about our impact influencer, right? So how is it that we can lean into this to really bring either helpful people or attract those things to us? And for this, we've got the Four of Pentacles, right? Isn't it crazy that these energies are so different, right? So what this says to me is the way that you attract new people into your world or into your life, or you enhance your own influence, is by sticking to who you are, not necessarily to what you know, because the Knight of Wands wants you to do different to that, but really holding yourself to who you are, right? Being sure and confident in what you know. The Four of Pentacles can be a little bit of a stick in the mud, absolutely. But what this really says to me is be sure and confident in your abilities. Be so rock solid in what you know, so that what you don't know is seen as gravy, right? Now, in terms of the people that you're likely to attract this week, if they look like the Four of Pentacles, these will be people that are a little bit rigid, maybe, people that are hard on you, people that will, maybe give you the proverbial rap on the back of your knuckles to kind of keep you accountable, right? To keep you on track, to keep you on path. I know for me personally, And, I've often wondered if this is because of what I do for work, or, when you own your own business or you work for yourself, you do have to have a modicum of discipline, right? You have to have a level of consistently making decisions and all the rest of it. So there are areas of your life where you're like, you choose. You know what I mean? It's nice to give somebody else a decision to make for you. This week, the people that can really help you amplify your influence are likely to be a bit more rigid. And I think, if anything, this maybe spurs you on to do that whole thing of maybe not to impress them, but to show, like, yeah, you know what? You stand on something, you can stand for integrity. I can do that too. And here are the principles that I do stand on. For our final card, which is the luck lever, right? How do we lean into the lucky outcomes that are possible for us through Jupiter's energy? Well, we've got the Seven of Cups. So, two things. It's always important to dream and to dream big whenever we're talking about Jupiterian energy. But the Seven of Cups is truthfully about streamlining your vision. And Jupiter is all about vision. It's about your vision, the vision, our vision. It's about your foresight. It's about what you envision for your life, or the highest potential that your life can have. Jupiter is very linked to the energy of quantum physics and all of that kind of energy, because I mean, yes, you could say Uranus for sure, but Jupiter has that. It's a very future orientated energy. When you think about the ninth house, it looks to the 10th house. It looks to the most visible that you can be out in the world. It's the Sagittarius arrow that shoots right out there into the future towards what we desire. And so, with that Seven of Cups, which, if you've had a reading with me, you'll have heard me say you need to streamline your vision. You need to streamline your focus, take something off the plate. Because if you're spinning multiple plates all the time and you've got 12 and 20 of them, you're going to drop something. Whereas if you say, you know what, all of these plates, as much as I love them and they're wonderful, they just don't have the space right now. You can focus on spinning the 3 or 4 plates that are left, and you can really hone in on them. So this week, the way that we tap into our luck is by getting rid of what is superfluous and being really honest with ourselves about what that is, what that looks like. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna, as much as I love to, and because Jupiter is an energy of cohesion, right? So let's say you don't want to give up your 2, 3 hours of Netflix watching at the end of the day. No problem. You know what you could do? You could sit in a stretch, right? So let's say you say, well, I want to do more mobility and I'm a bit inflexible and all the rest of it. While you're watching TV, sit and do some stretches. If you want to learn to play an instrument, but you don't want to give up that time, every time the adverts come on your thing, play your instrument for the amount of time that the adverts are on. 5 minutes of that thing over the course of 3 months actually really stacks up, right? So in a way, this is kind of, it's Gemini, which is Gemini loves options. Jupiter wants all of it. Find a way to use that energy of cohesion. Find a way to make this happen. But in order to really lean into our luck this week, I think it's about giving Jupiter a clearer vision, right? And so then really thinking about what is the clearer vision for my life and what does that look like? And I know for me personally, I know what that's about to look like. And I'm really, really excited about it. All right, so I'm gonna put those up. And now let's get into the week for the signs. So we go by the elemental grouping. If anybody wants to put in the timestamps for what I talk about, I would be eternally grateful, and Rafi would love you forever. Because I do get a lot of people that complain in the comments, like, where are the timestamps? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have time. I got so many other things I need to do. So yeah, whoever would do that, I would appreciate you so very, very much. All right, so I'm going to give these a shuffle. And again, once more, somebody can please tell me when to stop. Ooh, Jan, yeah, I get that. The final result of Brexit on your family life, that's awful. It's just for all of us. Cheers, yards, much appreciated. So for the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, what do you need to know about this week? I don't know if that's that bloody pesky little fly. Fire signs, you've got the Two of Cups, right? Partner up, buddy up, whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to achieve, don't go it alone, right? Do it with another person. Remember, Gemini is the twins. It's two people, right? It's Gemini is two people. It's one and the other. So this week, if you're a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, the way that you get the most out of the Jupiterian energy that is in the air, Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Gemini, reconnect with old friends, reconnect with old partners, buddy up, work with one or more people, right? The more you do this, the more you diversify this week, the better it's going to be for you. So if you're an Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, get a buddy, get a group of buddies, work together, because what you get out of it is going to be phenomenal. And also, it also suggests that through this connection, you will find a personal sense of inner healing and harmony, right? When we can see what we're doing through the guise or the eyes of another, we start to really understand its worth and therefore its meaning. Remember what I said right at the beginning about Jupiter and meaning? For the air signs, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, you have the Ten of Pentacles. So look, if you are a Libra, if you've got whatever your Libra placements, whatever your Aquarius placements, they're getting a trine energy from this retrograde Jupiter. This could potentially lead to good financial opportunities this week. It might even see you having conversations around legacy, around what you decide your legacy is going to be from here on in. For a lot of you, the way that I feel this though, it's almost like you pick back up where you left off of what your grand vision was for the future. And this happens for all of us, right? We have this big plan, this big goal, we're going for it, and then something happens and you're like, okay, I've got to put that to the side for now. Well, this is encouraging you to pick it back up and to think long term. So, and remember, Jupiter is an energy of the future. So something about this week has the ability to help you re-envision or reimagine your future and therefore create or recreate what your idea of your legacy is. And the way that this works in terms of your money, your finances, and your resources, the Ten of Pentacles is about really digging in and saying, okay, you know what? I'll take this as far as I possibly can by using the strength of the knowledge, the wisdom, and the skills that I've got, and also tapping into my heritage, my history, and I'm going to make this work in the here and now. This is a money card, right? So this could have something to do with property. It could be having something to do with real estate, and it could also be about a long-term investment that you are willing to make at this moment in time. Ooh. All right, sorry, that was a little bit. For the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, you have the Six of Cups. Do you know what's really crazy to me is like all of these cards in essence have an echo about them, but this one, for those of you that are water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, this is a past. This is a card of the past. Retrogrades can bring things, places, or people back into our world. If you're a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, it's likely that you could be reconnecting with someone or something or even somewhere from your history, from your childhood. This usually goes back to that. For those of you that have had problems, challenges, or issues with a sibling, this could bode really well for you. It could be where you and your sibling find some sense of healing or coherence in your relationship. It could be for some of you that you're revisiting a place that you used to live when you were younger. It could also be that you're reconnecting with a childhood friend. What this also says is that a dream, a hope, a wish, or a goal that you had for the future is now starting to come back into focus. It's coming off the back burner. So similar to the Ten of Pentacles for the air signs, but even more so than that, this is really about the feels, right? Now, this with the Six of Cups. It's also, so in the Crowley Tarot, in the Thoth deck, he calls this the Lord of Pleasure. Do you remember what it was like just to like something for the sake of liking it, not because it looked a certain way or whatever? Do you remember what it felt like to love something and not be anywhere near ashamed about what that looked like? If you are a water sign, this week Jupiter is trying to help you to remember how much you loved something just because you loved it and you didn't really give a shit, quite frankly. Excuse me, YouTube gods. Right? You really just didn't care about who thought whatever about it, right? Like when I was younger, I loved the Power Rangers, and I didn't care who thought I was a baby because of it or whatever. And I'll give you an example of this. I loved the Power Rangers so much when I was younger that because my asthma was really bad as a kid, and I spent a lot of time in and out of hospital up to about the age of 8. And I'll never forget, I had a really bad asthma attack. It was the last one that I ever had, actually. And I remember being in hospital for that. And the all of the cards that like when you're into class and someone's poorly, we all sent them cards. All of mine were basically it was a stack of Power Ranger cards that all the other kids had made, right? Remember when you used to love something just because you loved it and you didn't care how it made anybody else think or feel? This week you get to get that back. So if you're a water sign, jump into it. Finally, last but never least, the earth signs, Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. This week you have the King of Cups. If you are an earth sign, this week you get to tap back into your intuitive faculty, and you can put that into practice in a way that could potentially be very lucrative for you. Now, with the earth signs, you guys tend to be a little bit more stoic anyway by your nature. That doesn't mean that you're not funny, and it doesn't mean that you're not, a force to be reckoned with. You just tend to be a little bit more reserved than everybody else, apart from you Virgo people. Now, that being said, right, this King of Cups, this could be an intuitive, a psychic, it could be somebody who you consider a spiritual worker, maybe even a therapist or a counselor, could really help you this week with some idea or vision that you have for your life. Your intuition is what's going to lead you to the right person to help you with this. So if as an earth sign this week, if you get that sort of inward nudge to say, ask this person this question, or go and speak to this person about this thing, even if you think like, oh God, no, I can't go and ask them that. I haven't spoken to this person in X, Y, and Z, or, we don't really have those kinds of conversations. Your intuition will never lie. It knows what it's doing, so trust it. And then finally, for the earth signs, Taurus, Capricorn, or a Virgo, this is really about you finding a way this week to truly command your emotions, right? And you will be given a chance to do this week by observing the meaning behind what you're feeling and how you're able to transcend that. Those were some big messages today. Jupes out here doing his thing, clearly, right? So get at me in the comments. Let me know how it goes for you. If you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. If you feel like this could help somebody, smash that like button. If you feel like this could help somebody, share the video with them. Put it out on your socials. I would appreciate you so very much for doing it. I appreciate you anyway, but you know what I'm saying. Help me get this stuff out there. And with that said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you are in the world, whatever you are doing. And take care. I will see you tomorrow. I might not be able to share a chart tomorrow because I'm on my travels, but we will still get it done, right? You know how we do here in the kingdom. Get your crown on. I'll see you asleep by 9. I love it, right? So have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you so much. Go out there and be who you're destined to be. All right. Love you lots, and I'll see you.